Hey everyone, it's Dominic, the Primetime Treasure Hunter. Thanks so much for coming by to check out another video. This is the first in a several part video series that I'm going to put together for you on how to go out and absolutely crush it at estate sales. Now, as you know from watching my haul videos, estate sales are one of my favorite places to go out and source. And the reason for that is that a true, genuine, bona fide estate sale really is like a treasure hunt, because in the vast majority of instances, you have full reign to the entire house or most of the house. There can be instances where a few rooms or items are off limits and marked not for sale, but in general, you have access to either the entire house or the vast majority of it. And that makes for a fun time because there's lots of areas to explore. There's basements and attics and bookshelves and drawers and all sorts of different rooms to go into, and kitchen cupboards and all sorts of things. There's lots and lots of stuff to look at. There's chests that you could open up and find things. I mean, it's just amazing. It's really a great time. I have a blast at them, as you could probably tell from my haul videos. And if you go to the right ones and make good relationships with the estate sale dealers, which we'll talk about some more in a later video, but you could really source items for a really low amount of money, and so you could then go out and flip them for many times what you paid for it and make a great return on investment, so that you could bring a lot of profit into your reselling business and beat your competition out there for that particular item if you could source it very low. So other videos I'm going to do in this series are going to focus on what to do once you're actually in the sale. I'm going to talk about search strategy in that one. I'm going to do another video when I talk about how to prep yourself for the sale and the kind of tools and tips and things that could be helpful for you in terms of getting ready for it. But in this video, I want to talk to you more about just the basics in terms of what an estate sale actually is, because there seems to be a fear factor out there amongst some, because I've had a lot of questions about this over the last year or so, in terms of people saying they're kind of intimidated. They don't really understand how they work. They don't have a problem going to garage sales, but if you mention estate sale, then some people get nervous about them. And if you're one of those people, this video is definitely for you. You should stick around, because I'm going to take you right through it and show you why there's absolutely zero to worry about. Just think of it as a big giant garage sale. That's an easy way to think about it. So we're going to talk about that and where to go find the estate sale. So let's start with what an estate sale actually is. As it sounds, an estate sale is when someone puts either their whole estate up for sale. Now, not always including the house. In fact, normally not the house. That doesn't mean the house won't be for sale concurrently, but that's usually not something that's going on at the time of the sale, where someone's actually trying to actively sell it to one of the people coming in to look for it. It's really more the items that are inside the house are what's for sale. Now, why do estate sales happen? Most commonly, estate sales happen because somebody passed away. And it's normally that there was one person living at the house at the time. Now, the person might have been married, but the spouse usually passed away or might be in a nursing home somewhere. And so it's typically in an elderly person's home is where you're going. Now, that's of course sad, but it's also good for you, because that's a place where you can get vintage items. And so rather than, at a garage sale that you might go to, where somebody selectively puts out certain items, again, in an estate sale, everything is pretty much fair game. And so that brings an excitement element to it that I like. Now, there's other reasons for estate sales. Sometimes people move and they've already packed up the main items that they want to take with them, and then there's just too much other stuff and they don't want to take it. They don't want to hire movers, so they just decide, let's just do an estate sale and have people come in. Now, normally the people who are relatives or people who might own the house are not actually the ones present at the estate sale, but there are ones that are family run and that there are family that are there. So there's really two types of ways the estate sales are run. One is family run, and those aren't necessarily bad ones to go to. In fact, I like going to some of those. The other one is when you have estate sale dealers that run the sale. So they're hired by the family because the family doesn't want really anything to do with it. So they're hiring out to a professional, and the estate sale dealer essentially gets a cut of whatever is sold, and the rest of it goes back to the family member that hired them. Now, a lot of estate sale dealers will deal with a 30% commission rate. Some will go more than that, some will go lower than that. It just depends, but you know, that's a number that I know is common out there for estate sale dealers. So don't think when you go to an estate sale that's run by an estate sale company that they're making all the money. They're really making a piece of it, and they've taken direction from the family on some items in terms of how they should price certain things, but in general, the estate sale dealers really like to set their own prices for most of the items, and they don't want the owner there in the house because the owner tends to interfere with the sale in those instances. So those are if you ever go to an estate sale and you see the estate sale dealer and the owner, that is usually, in my experience, an instance where there's going to be some problems there and probably some conflict between the estate sale dealer and the owner. So I've seen that happen many times. So anyway, so that is a main reason for estate sales. They're normally in homes. Now, sometimes they're in apartments. And those are not usually as exciting because apartments are obviously smaller than houses, so there's usually not as much stuff there and usually not as high quality stuff in an apartment compared to an estate sale. But by me, tomorrow there is an estate sale in an apartment complex, and I'll probably stop by to see what it's like. And so because you never know, sometimes there can be some good things in apartments. You just have to go and look. So those are really the main reasons why estate sales occur. I mean, sometimes a house gets foreclosed on by a bank, and the bank may hire an estate sale dealer to to liquidate the contents of it. So we could sit here and think of many smaller reasons why an estate sale might occur, but generally it is death or moving. Now, in many instances, the estate sale takes place within the house. I'm going to show you a few pictures in just a moment. But sometimes what you'll find is that the owners will sometimes, especially if it's on a nice day over the summertime or springtime or even the fall, will take all the items out and put it out on the driveway or put it out on the lawn. I don't like those as much because you can't go in and explore. But the reason why that happens in most cases is because the inside of the houses sometimes are really, really in bad condition. In fact, what estate sale dealers have to spend a lot of time doing beforehand is a lot of prep work. That's why in the last haul video that you saw me do when I went to the estate sale in the snowstorm, you saw the big giant dumpster outside. That's very common because a lot of the places are, really a wreck inside, and to even make it safe for customers like us to go in there, they have to prep it and they have to get everything nice and organized. So always remember that when you go into the sale and you see stuff, that it wasn't always like that. That chances are the place was not really nice and clean. I mean, sometimes it is. Sometimes estate sale dealers get lucky, but a lot of times they're really, really in rough condition. So that's why that will happen. And so you may have to, in those instances, ask the people at the sale, hey, if you're looking for a certain thing, do you have any of this inside that maybe you didn't bring out yet? That's getting a little far ahead of ourselves, just giving you kind of a sneak peek in terms of some of the types of tips and tricks that I'm going to pass on in future videos. But right now since we've covered basically what estate sales are and the different kind of types and varieties of them, let's go into how you could actually go about finding them. Now, there are many ways, but I'm going to tell you what the main ways are and the main ways that I use. Number one for me, where I like to go, is I love to go over to Craigslist, and you can see here I did a search for estate sale. Now you got to be careful with Craigslist, because if you type in the word estate, sometimes it's going to bring up all sorts of real estate listings. It's best done in terms of a search on the phone app. So you could go and look for that, but you can do it online. Just make sure you click off all of the options for real estate and you're just looking just doing ones where someone says for sale but it's not real estate. So to make this more relevant to people who maybe came by and saw my haul video the other day at the estate sale in the snowstorm, I think that I saw that was here earlier, that was up here. Yeah, here it is, right here. So you could see it right here. This is the one I was at, and what you'll see, and which is good about these estate sale pictures, is there's usually a lot of them compared to garage sale where you normally have like one picture. There's usually a ton of pictures for estate sales. Now, one of the advantages of that is that you could do some prep work in terms of doing some research in advance, but we'll talk about that more in the next video. But right now, what I really want to show you is that Craigslist is a great source where you could look for the estate sales. And they're going to tell you the address and they're going to tell you the start time. Like you can see this one here started at 11 o'clock, and they'll give more specific things here. Now, one of the things they talk about here is whether there's a sign list. So you could see here there's a sign up list on Saturday that you could go to, and I did do that in that video. And then you could come back the next day. So we're going to talk about that more. That's all part of the prep and what you should do ahead of time. We're going to talk about that more in the next video, but I just want to show you that within the listings themselves, this type of information is put there. And then there's typically a narrative that describes the types of items that are there. So, you could go through and you could search whether these are things that are interesting for your reselling business. What I like to look for in a estate sale that I feel is viable for me to go and and do well at is I like to see something like this. You could see how the rooms have things in it. Now, you might say, of course the rooms have things in it. It's an estate sale, but you would not believe how many estate sale pictures just so a couple of what look like pretty empty rooms with just a couch and a chair or something like that, where there's just a couple pieces of furniture for sale and not a lot of items. And you want to be careful that you're not driving out, 40 miles to go to an estate sale where all there is a love seat for sale. So you gotta be careful and look at this. You could see some of these are the items that I purchased at the sale. You could see just a lot of pictures here. Really, really good to help you do research and figure out where exactly you want to go. So this is the one that I went to this weekend. But let's look at just as an example, things on the horizon for this week coming up, because there's a bunch of actually estate sales that have popped up. This is one that I'm really looking forward to trying to get over to, and this one's a multi-day sale. See, you remember the other one just said it was on Sunday, but sometimes they do multi-day sales. January 26th, January 27th, start time at 9 a.m. And typically what happens is that the second day of the estate sale doesn't last as long as the first day. So you could see here, this one goes Saturday from 9 to 3, and then the next one goes from 9 to 1. Now, this is why as you look through these pictures, if you're nervous about estate sales, and why I'm telling you don't need to be, just look at them as giant garage sales inside a house where there's just lots of items all around that you get to look at and explore and determine whether or not you might be something you're interested in picking up. Like if you're into tools and you want to resell tools, here's a good place where for sure you could go and you're going to have options for all sorts of tools that are there. So, maybe you like ceramics and pottery. Well, you got that stuff there. So, there's all different options. Sometimes you'll see, like here, toy cars and books. So, you're not going to see everything, of course, with these pictures, but it's going to give you a sense, once you've been to enough of these sales, It's going to give you a sense when you look at the pictures what you're in for when you go there. And these are all good signs. I'm seeing rooms that are packed with merchandise. Again, make sure you go down to your description section and look for years. Sometimes it'll say things like 1950s. Here you got 1980s, and sometimes they'll tell you what the family has ties to. And that's one of the other things I love about estate sales. So sometimes I've gone to estate sales where the person was a big train collector, or others where they're a big comic book collector, or others where they're a toy collector. And this one here, you could see the family has ties to the 1980 Winter Olympics, so there's lots of interesting memorabilia there from Lake Placid. So you see, every house is different, has its own character to it, and it just makes it exciting to go over there. Another thing you're going to see in the listing is sometimes you will see the estate sale company listed there. Now, sometimes it's at the top, oftentimes it's at the very bottom, and as you start going to these sales, you're going to quickly learn who are the estate sale dealers that are good and who are the estate sale dealers that are way overpriced. When I say way overpriced, I'm talking about an estate sale dealer that would have a common item in the house, like something that was bought at Hobby Lobby or something for $14.99, and they have a sticker on it for $50, and they don't realize that the Hobby Lobby sticker is still underneath it for $14.99. There are dealers that are like that. Once I go into an estate sale like that, I write the name of that estate sale dealer down, and they are forever on my ban list. I will never go to one of those sales again because it's a giant waste of my time. There are enough dealers out there who are willing to make you great deals and essentially liquidate the stuff out of there at great prices that you don't need to waste your time going to people who are going to overcharge you for things. So, keep that in mind as well. That's one of the things. If you go to one, you may go to one or two and say, oh, wow, this is bad. All estate sales are overpriced. That's not the case. There are some areas that are worse than others. And what I've generally found is that the areas around where you live that are known as kind of the uppity areas or the more snooty type of areas are the houses where there are a lot of things that aren't really that good and aren't really that collectible and aren't really that vintage. And if there are things that are good that are worth value, the estate sale dealers are trying to charge a ton of money for it. I've talked about this before in a lot of my videos, but what you really want to look for in terms of places to go and source, you want to look for estate sales that are in old neighborhoods, because that's where the vintage stuff is. That's where the great stuff is that sells. You don't want that house that's, perfect and everything about it is neat, and you have to take your shoes in when you walk into the house. And when I go to an estate sale that says take your shoes off before you walk in, I already know I'm in for a problem. I mean, you really want to go to one where you could just dig in and you want one even that's actually a little bit dirty, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, you don't want one that's completely, utterly filthy where, you've got bugs running all over you. Although I do have an estate sale I went to that was like that. It was like the title of it has the word horror in it. So go search for that. It's absolutely disgusting. I mean, there was a poop everywhere from animals and rats and mice, and it was really gross. But I actually did find some really good stuff there. But I'm actually going to show that video, I think, when I show one of my strategies in terms of searching for things in a later video. So, but just keep that in mind. You're looking for those, those older houses, those houses that were built, in the early 1900s or the mid 1900s, not the ones that were built in 2000 and 2010. And I'm not saying you can't ever find good stuff there. I'm just saying you got to play the rule of averages, especially when you got a busy weekend and there's lots of potential sales going on. That's one of the ways you figure out in terms of which one to go to. So a house like this, definitely good. And you'll get some cues ahead of time sometimes with some of these sales. When you click on it in terms of what's available, like, the one that I just showed you, but there's some other ones, let's see, I'll scroll down a little bit, see if there's another one that I could show you here. No, there's not another one down here. I saw one earlier though. Let's see, this one here maybe. This was on January 12th. So if you go through this one, the other one I showed you had had tools in it and stuff, but look at this. Books. Fill a bag for $1. I mean, That's awesome. That's, that's like a book sale. Fill a bag for $1. You get a lot depending on how big the bag is, and I don't know if they give you a bag at this particular place, or you got to bring your own. But fill a bag for $1 with books. That's great. And depending on what books you pick out, you could this is what I mean about how estate sales could really, really help you source low. They're obviously interested in liquidating stuff. When you see a sign like that ahead of time, that's a cue. These people are not into trying to make a fortune out of this sale by charging a lot of money for each item. They're really truly trying to liquidate. That's where you want to go. You want to go to places where things are getting liquidated. So I know, and you'll get a cue in, like, look, you got a vintage sewing machine here. You could look here. We got some figurines. If you're into furniture and selling bigger things like that, obviously you'll get some cues in about that. Here's a bunch of Christmas stuff. Look at that. Fill a bag. Well, let's get that open right here. Fill a bag, $2 with Christmas ornaments. So, this is why, this also, now, I've talked about thrift stores before, and in my area, unfortunately, the thrift stores are not good. And plenty of places you could do really well at thrift stores. But if you're in an area like me where thrift stores are just terrible, this is just even all the more reason you should be looking at estate sales if you haven't gone there before. There's nothing to be intimidated about going to one. There's nothing mysterious about it. It's just going into a house and buying pretty much whatever you want that's in there that's available for sale. That's all it is. Now, if you're worried about sign-up lists and what the sign-up list means and all that stuff, I'm going to cover that in the next video that I do about estate sales. So stay tuned for that one. So that's Craigslist. You could find some really great stuff there. Only other thing I'll tell you about it is that once in a while, for example, like here's another one coming up this weekend. You'll click on it and you'll find that they did not put pictures up of any items. All you have is a verbal description. There's no mention here of this being run by an estate sale dealer, but we have these key words here I love to see. Everything must go and prices are negotiable. Now that's enough to get me to go there. If all you have are a couple of descriptive words there, and you don't, just like a couple items, let's say it just says mattress and couches and chairs, that might be one I'd say to pass on. So, it all depends on what's going on. Whether or not you want to take a risk on one like that really depends on where you're at. Is it just one you could go and stop off at real quick while you're at a whole bunch of other ones? But you want to be careful not to take a big risk going to something where you don't have good data behind you in terms of whether or not that's going to be a good use of your time. But again, we'll talk more about that stuff in a future video. Now, another app here, there's the Craigslist app you could get to search on your phone. You could also get the app for yard sale treasure map. I highly suggest this. What this is going to do, and a lot of people who have it don't even realize that this is what's going on, but all yard sale treasure map is doing is it is taking the information from Craigslist, because Craigslist, it's going to say the address, like you could see here, it says 307 Bronson Road. It's going to take that information and it's going to plot it with certain points on a map. And those points will have a number on it, and then what you do is you just click on the number and it will open up and it will just bring up the Craigslist ad. Now, that's good because it does give you a nice little overhead and visual of where all the sales are, not just estate sales, but it's also going to cover garage sales. So once the garage sale season starts heating up, once it gets warmer out, you're going to see lots and lots of these points all over your map. And so it could be really helpful. Like, let's say you don't have the time in advance to do a Craigslist search, because ideally what you would like to do, again, we'll talk about this more in the next video, but you would like to do a little prep work in advance and research where some of these places are. But let's say you just have a crazy week, you don't have time to do that. You could literally just get in the car, turn on the yard sale treasure map, and just look around, and you could span out to the surrounding cities and see where all the sales are, and just look there and just click and see where you want to go to. So that's another option, yard sale treasure map. The other good thing about yard sale treasure map is it does allow you to make treasure hunting trips. Now, I know this says treasure hunting tips, but it does allow you to make treasure hunting trips in which you will actually create a route. Like you can see here, it will, you say where you want to go, and it will create the most efficient route for you to get to where you need to go during that day. So that's very helpful. That's another thing that Yard Sale Treasure Map does. Another place where I like to go is I like to go to the classified section. So here you can see this is the classified section of Syracuse.com, and you actually have to click under where it says garage sales. Now here it says garage, yard, and estate sales. You know, your paper might have something, you know, have it say something different, but the estate sales are going to be where the garage sales are listed. And so you just go down and you will sometimes see a lot of overlap across these sites because the estate sale dealers or the homeowners or family members who are running the sale are posting it in as many different places as possible. So you could see things listed there. You could also, I don't have it up, but you could also go in your local Facebook marketplace and you could look in there. Your local marketplace might also have some advertisements for estate sales. So that's another place to check as well. Now the thing about the classified ads is usually all you have is a verbal. That's usually it. But you know, there could be a lot of information packed into that verbal that's good. Sometimes people might pay extra money to put in some pictures, but as you can see here, no one bothered to do that. So we have different options in terms of places to go, and you just look them over. Now, I'm not going to name names, but I know from looking through here who I will absolutely not go to and who I absolutely go to every single time. So you know, you're just going to gain that with experience of going. That's it. And so the first couple times you might make some, you know, might make some wasted trips to places where you can't get anything because it's overpriced. But then once you learn that, you put it down, and you know, there you go. You learn the lesson. Now you know where to narrow your search to going forwards after that. Now, a lot of people ask me about estate sales .net, and you could certainly go there and you could just type in your zip code, like mine is 13027, and we could type that in, and here we go. We have a whole bunch of sales that are coming up this weekend. Not only estate sales, it'll also bring up auctions. So you could see here's a cross reference to the estate sale that was listed on Craigslist earlier. You can see here's that safe, and right here when we go back over to Craigslist, I feel like I'm playing the game memory. There you go. I matched it over there. Yay, I win. I made a match. So that's you know, so you're gonna see cross reference sometimes. But the other thing is that you're going to see some instances where you see something on estatesales.net that wasn't posted anywhere else for whatever reason. It just happens sometimes. So you have to check multiple places. Now, the good thing about estatesales.net and other places such as here, you'll see this is my email opened up, which is garagesalefinder.com. You know, don't be mistaken. Garage Sale Finder apps and places often also cover estate sales. And what happens is you could get on their list. Like I'm on a mailing list for estatesales.net, and as you can see here, I'm on a mailing list for Garage Sale Finder. And sure enough, what do I have that gets mailed to me? Well, look at that. There's the same estate sale that's going on this weekend, and there it just pops up right in my mailbox. So maybe if I didn't get a chance to go on some of these apps or sites during the week, well, there you go. Boom, it goes right to me. And it's good to go on the list. Like you might say, well, why bother going on the list? Because you already know you're going to check here. You already know you're going to check over here at Craigslist. The reason is because you want to build in redundancy systems. So just in case you miss it, because the worst case, you know, you miss something, and guess what? Well, now you have it, and you could look it up and decide if you want to go there. You know, best case, you know, okay, well, you know, you already knew about it, and so that's great. You knew about it. That's why it's best case, and you know, so no big loss. You just, you know, delete the email and you wait for the next one to come in and see if you know, see if that's one you didn't hear of before. So, you know, there's lots of places you could go to. You know, if you look here, if you scroll down, you just type in find estate sales at Google. You go down, you'll see lots of places. Not only is there estatesales.net, but there's estatesales.org, and there's estatesale.com, and you know, there's all these places where you could go. So it really just depends. There's mega estate sales. Like I don't use all these other places. I just use the ones that I told you earlier. So those are places to go to. One last tip that I'll give you in terms of places to find estate sales is when you go to the estate sale and you check out, most of the estate, well, I don't know if it's most, but a lot of estate sale dealers, they have a mailing list that you could go on. And that's important for a couple reasons. One, they'll send you usually the first notification before it gets out anywhere else, and they will let you know about an estate sale that's coming up. So it will go directly to you. So that's a good thing, is that you know that. And the other thing that's good about it is that, and if an estate sale gets canceled, then they will notify you through email, and that won't always necessarily get updated on one of these apps sometimes. So, you know, if there's like a big storm that comes into your area, they might send an email out saying, sorry, we had to cancel the sale this week and it's on for next week. Now, sometimes they will go in through Craigslist and update it, but it's harder to update on like a, on a classified sections app, or, and there is an app for this, by the way, for my local newspaper, and I could go in there and I could go in the classified section, and then I could actually click on a map and it will bring me up to where, the map location. So different newspapers are, more sophisticated than others with their classified section. So just use, what you're most comfortable with and what works for you. But don't just limit yourself to one place, please, because if you do that, you are going to miss out on sales, and then you're going to kick yourself when someone else tells you about it later, or you find out about it after the fact that, oh my gosh, I wish I knew there were estate sales there. So lots of tips and things that I want to talk to you about prep, and just kind of miscellaneous things that you should think about beforehand as you're planning out your estate sale plan of attack. And we're going to cover that in the next video. As you can see, it would just be too much if I tried to tack all that on to this one. Now, if there's other places you like to go to source where estate sales are going to be, that's what the comment section is for down below. So please drop that down there. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any other sources, and go down there if you watch this video and, and check. Did anyone else leave any more important information? I learned a lot of stuff from all of you. I try to pass information on that's helpful, and I like a lot of information I get back from all of you as well. So I hope you liked the video. If so, make sure you hit the like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel. And you absolutely do not want to miss tomorrow night my interview with the legendary Craigslist hunter himself, on board for a full hour-long interview. If you're watching this video after January 25th, 2019, then definitely go into my playlist, look in the live interview section for the live shows, and definitely check out that interview, because if you're not following Craigslist Hunter, you absolutely need to. I guarantee you it's going to help you in your reselling business. So that's about it. Make sure you come to my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center, and come follow me on Instagram. That's at prime_time_treasure. I do live chats once a week. Just this week I talked with Martin. Martin, I hope you're watching this. Giving Martin from Thrift Store Gold a big shout out in one of the videos. So I hope you appreciate that, Martin, if you stuck around. And I will see all of you tomorrow night and at the next video. The next estate sale video will probably come after my video with Craigslist Hunter tomorrow. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you all at the next video. Take care, everyone.